Okay. So, at some point, if you've tried this during your own little healing journey or big healing journey, um, you've sat down and if you've been doing the introspection, asking yourself certain questions and being honest with yourself, still, I find it hard sometimes for certain things, but you would have probably asked yourself, what have I learned? If you actually wanted to know, what have I learned? Um, well, for starters, I had no idea it was going to be like this. Unfortunately, I was not lucky enough in the past to have people teach me or tell me what to expect, or maybe what they've went through, or share anything that they've learned when it comes to certain things for healing. But then again, I would say maybe some of the people around me were also needing of work themselves. So how is it that they could teach me something if they have not yet learned that themselves? So I forgive myself for things that I did not know in the past. I forgive myself to this current day of things that I still maybe make mistakes on, but they're lessons to learn. And I forgive the people in my past for the things that have gone on. I do speak about it here on YouTube, but it's also like a documentary kind of to share with other people to help them on their way as well. If I could do one thing, I remember being told, well, what can you do? You're just one person. And I think other people in history have said that as well, but one person can make a heck of a difference, like a big difference. So I don't care who you are, speak your truth. Please try to do that for you. Um, I learned that my patience may have been great for some things, but was not so much in others. And I needed to learn how to be patient in all aspects of my life, even the things that I wanted really badly. I learned that the whole idea of reverse psychology with the universe is very, very present. And that if you are constantly chasing or craving something, then it becomes like a lack mentality and you almost push it away. But if you tell yourself everything that you have right now, you're grateful for, everything that you do have now, you're abundant in, you have more than enough of whatever it is, even if maybe deep down inside you feel you could use more. But at this moment in time, you have more than enough of whatever it is. And you tell the universe that, you put that out there, you project that thought outwards from yourself, which think of it like a ripple. Your energy goes out. It's a thought. It's very powerful. It affects the people around you, especially. You put that out that you have more than enough. You don't need to obtain this item to be fulfilled. You don't need to be with that person to be fulfilled. You don't need to struggle to keep a relationship that may need more than just work, like separation for two individuals to heal. You don't need to force things to be a certain way. Just like water, you don't force it. I think salmon are the only ones that flow upstream and they have to fight really hard. Are they pink? That's just an example, but generally you would like to go with the flow of things. So if something is not working in your favor, you will find another way. If something is not going the way to plan, there's a reason for it. You can always look for it. Or the reason will be shown to you later on, and you will understand that there was no actual reason to ever be upset. In my past, before I got control over my emotions, I reacted specifically with emotions due to what I was feeling, whatever corresponded with the event or the situation. And a lot of the times when I had my hopes up, when I had expectations to be fulfilled a specific way instead of just the expectations themselves, not the steps, I used to have the steps planned as well. And it used to be frustrating and upsetting because when things didn't go to plan the way I had expected them to go, I would be upset. Even the minor details, instead of just accepting that maybe things flow a little differently, maybe they take a different path, maybe they go a different way, and then instead of fighting your own inner self, having that battle with yourself, allowing things to be, accepting things, especially when it comes to other people, because we don't have control over them, remember? What they do, what they say, how they act is on them. That is their karma. What we do, what we say, how we act, even how we think is our karma. So, we already have a specific amount when we come into this existence, in my opinion. And then as we go through life, we either transmute the negative by learning the lessons and move forward and elevate, or we add more karma on, which just become more lessons or more cycles to have to go through, kind of like a school and grades almost, but in a different way. I think there's a lot more texture to it than the current school system we may have in schools right now for children. The way the universe works spiritually is a lot different. And there's even rules that apply as well spiritually. Free will is the main one. If you practice anything, just remember, if you're trying to force somebody to do something, you can hope for the best and you could send out negative energy. Either one, you're making a decision. You can send out positive energy, but be thinking negative thoughts. You're still sending out energy. When it comes to another person, you can't control what they ultimately do. You could try. You could brainwash and manipulate, but that's not a good idea because that's just going to add negative karma onto your plate. And what you digest necessarily is not just food. So just keep that in mind. When it comes back to you, are you going to handle the negative karma that is your lesson in a good way? Or are you going to handle it in a bad way? And by that I mean, are you going to react negatively? Or are you going to stay calm and accept the karma and learn the lesson with grace? Or some people say take things with a grain of salt. That's funny how they say that. Tears are salty, are they not? Anyway, how I interact with people, what I'm feeling at that moment in time, if I feel insecure or if I feel confident, all of it has an impact on the person that's in front of me or beside me. Recognizing how I impact another, but that they're responsible for their own reactions are two different things. Realizing that not everybody's going to be in favor of who I am or how I carry myself or what my energy is or what I say, do, think, and how I act, but also that I could still be kind to another person even if they do not favor me, if they are not liking of what I say or do. And generally those people will pull themselves away from you anyways. If a person's ever ghosted you, more than likely it's due to their own insecurities or something that they feel is not comfortable with them, so they set their boundaries. Whether or not they verbalize that and explain that to you is a whole other story, and there's reasons behind that as well, whether they feel comfortable to explain or they feel they don't have to explain at all. That is ultimately their choice, and your choice is how you react to them. But when we meet other people and we're communicating with them, we have to realize that our energy has an impact on them as well. You do not have to change your energy. That is your choice. If you are vibing high in good resonance and you are elevated and you are positive and uplifting, if somebody's reacting negatively, you do not have to change your energy to match theirs. If you are resonating in a low vibrational frequency and you realize it's having an impact on others and you acknowledge this within yourself, then the best thing you could do for you, not necessarily the people around you, that will go hand in hand, but is to elevate yourself and find a way to get the answer to whatever it is that may be causing such issue. Usually it's to do with the emotions, and usually that's to do with a past trauma as well. So if you've reached a certain point where you're still frustrated and you can't quite figure it out, go a little bit deeper when it comes to the questions you ask yourself. It's like, why am I pissed off? Oh, well, I'm pissed off that this person's acting that way. Well, no. because that person's actions are not why you're pissed off. That person's actions have triggered something within yourself that you have yet to acknowledge and understand. That person's actions have triggered something within you that has maybe brought up a past wound. And instead of acknowledging that, you are reacting accordingly due to the emotion that you felt at the time of said trauma. And you're projecting that now instead of learning the lesson onto the other person based off of their actions and blaming them for it specifically. There's certain things that I have learned from the people in my past, and I will divulge the information. And there's times where I have a little bit of attitude or the sound of resentment in there, which I needed to work on. When I explain something that happened in my past or to do with my own traumas, I need to know how to be balanced when I explain it as matter of fact instead of putting the emotional side into it, so that I can explain it better to other people without maybe getting my tempers high. There are people that are meant to come into your life to push your buttons, and it is your test. We have lots of tests here and there. Sometimes we don't have a test with another person. It's just to do with reflection of yourself and what you've learned. I've learned that if a door does close, that it's not always the best idea to go knocking on that door again or to relive something, even if it's like, nostalgic. If it feels good, you can have those memories and bring stuff up, but just don't get attached to them or codependent on that comfort. I've learned that when something isn't working a specific way, there is another way around it. There's another way to approach it. There's another way to get at it, whatever it is, whether it be goals, ambitions, or whatever you set for yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be the exact way you thought it would play out. So I still am working on my patience now to this day. I'm getting much better at it. Much more skilled at being patient, I should say. Cleansing of my energy has become a routine and a good habit. Exercising. Now, if you're under your 30s and you're watching this, most people probably have jokingly said to you after 30 years old, it's downhill from there, but I don't believe that to be true. I believe that keeping your core strength and your flexibility and your mind sharp and keeping your body detoxified from any of the crap is very crucial and important. And there's some people in their 70s that could probably do a backflip or a split, and I cannot even do that. So don't think that it's strictly on age. If your skin or the elasticity in your skin is not acting a certain way, there are things you can do for your body that do not require invasive surgery or adjustments. If you feel insecure about a part of your body, then that's something you need to start loving on. Forget about everything else. If that's one part of your body you hate, you need to start loving it every single day. You know what? It actually does look good. You know what? Actually, this is nice. You know what? This is a part of me. This is a part of my body. I love this part of me. I don't care what other people think. I love it. I don't care what I'm supposed to be made to think about this part of my body. I love it. Start loving it. Start loving yourself more. And then it becomes a good habit. If there's certain things you tell yourself on a regular basis that are negative, then those need to go. Do they serve my highest purpose? Are they actually doing me any good? No. They're reinforcing the negative things and then calling into me the negative things. So I want to focus on the good things. Even if it's something that I feel maybe deep down that may be out of reach, it's not. Everything you need comes from within yourself, and you need to start telling yourself or convincing yourself that whatever it is that you seek will come in towards you. If there are certain people in your life you're not around, remember free will is also at play. If they're working through something, if you have a friend that's on a different level than you and they're working through their own karma, good and bad, and going through their own life for their own lessons, if you're not at the same level, it doesn't mean one's better than the other. Doesn't mean one's more talented than the other, because we all have gifts. It just means that you're at different levels for your learning, your training, your teaching yourself, you're experiencing, you're existing. You're going through emotions. You're understanding yourself. Everybody's at different levels of that, and there's nothing wrong with it. If somebody is causing harm and you want them in your life, they're not the people that you need to be around, because they have many lessons to still learn. You are not responsible for teaching them those lessons, other than removing your energy, which is a lesson itself. Take a step back, give them a breather, let them figure shit out on their own instead of being codependent on your energy. If you have been filling your own cup, if you constantly give everybody a sip and it's empty by the time it gets back to you, guess who has to fill it again? And it's okay to fill your own cup and let it overflow, but if you're also holding back and you're not sharing, eventually it's just going to flood the floor. If you're not drinking it, telling yourself how much you love yourself every day, if you're not putting it in towards you and investing the time, the energy, which is very valuable, your energy is valuable and powerful. If you're not investing it into you, but you're also not sharing it with anybody else, then that it's going to overflow onto the floor and create a bit of a mess. And you're going to have to clean that mess up. And then you'll be asking yourself, well, why do I have to do this, or why do I have to do that? And it's because maybe you never asked for help. I personally had to learn, that's another lesson that I learned, was asking for assistance or help from other people that I gave some form of trust in, and allowing them to help me is okay. I still have boundaries set for that, because some may mistake you asking them for help for a way in. And if they have not done their own healing and they assume you owe them something, then they will hold that over you. Just be careful and know the difference of somebody genuinely wanting to help you with nothing in return, and somebody wanting to help you so that they have something to hold over you. And unfortunately, a lot of the times that's the case. Even if it's just an expectation in return, recognize it right away and voice it. I noticed you were getting attached to me, or you felt a certain way, like I owe you something because you helped me. Is that the case? I noticed that you were expecting that I hang around you or I be a certain way towards you because you helped me out with this one thing. Is that the case? Ask. You're allowed to ask. And if you ask genuinely, it's not going to upset them. If you communicate with somebody genuinely, they cannot deny it. I don't care who you are, even a narcissist. When you communicate with your full, authentic self and all your heart, when you say what needs to be spoken, and you say it with good deliverance, good tone, none of the patronizing, belittling stuff. If you say it with it, it's very hard for a person to deny communication in return. And if they do, then that is their lesson, that is their block, and whatever they need to sort out for themselves, and possibly something learned early as a defense mechanism or a form of control, one of the two. But that's not on you either. If they choose not to communicate in return, that is their choice. That is what they do. What you do is up to you. That is your free will. Understanding all this and moving forward is not always easy, because our ego kind of gets in the way sometimes. And our inner child can be hurt or feel offended or feel left out or a certain way. But just remember that it's your inner child. So don't hate on them for it. Don't get frustrated too much with yourself. Understand why. Reassure yourself, if nobody else will. Allow yourself to stay calm and ask questions. You're allowed to ask your inner child questions too. They're still there. Whatever it is that's bothering you right now, whatever you're fighting right now, remember it's not just 3D. Energetically, whatever it is, big or small, just remember to be honest with yourself. Love yourself. And try your very best to learn whatever lesson it is that you need for you. I may not have listed them all on here on this video, but I've learned a shit ton of lessons. Not all of them were easy. Some of them were a big epic battle.